Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody's Monday and your week is off to a fantastic start. And the reason why I say Monday and week is because I know to some people Monday is the first day of the week, but to some people Sunday starts the week. So your week is off to a good start if you're on day 2 of a good week. But obviously if you call Monday the first day of the week and your Monday's off to a good start, then your week's off to a good start. But if you jump on here live, please feel free to do what Kevron just did and leave a comment in the comment section. Down below, make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. And share the video on all social media platforms. And Kevron, as always, thank you for stopping by the channel. I really appreciate it. And as you can tell by the title of the video, today we're going to talk some AP poll. And normally I don't title the videos. I used to back when I would record the videos. That way when it dropped, whatever time it dropped, people would know what I talked about. But now that I go live, I very rarely name the videos because I want people to tune in live so they'll comment and jump on here as we go. And if you name the video and it's live and people see the name and they're like, oh, that doesn't interest me, well then when you go live, they're not going to watch. But if you just don't title the video, they don't know what it's about. So you hope they jump on here. Hey there, India. Glad to have you here. So that's why if you're a longtime viewer of the channel and you noticed that I no longer title my videos, that's why when you record them, I feel like it's better to name it. Otherwise it drops. And you know, it drops and people are like, well, you know, if you recorded that video 7-8 hours ago and you didn't take the time to name it, then it must not be important to you, so it's not going to be important to me. But, you know, you want them to comment, but if they don't comment, it's okay because it's recorded. But, you know, when you go live, you want people to chit-chat with you while you're doing, you know, your video. And if you title it, and the title doesn't sound entertaining, and people are going to be like, oh, I'm not watching that. Well, then all of a sudden you're doing a live video with nobody watching. So most of the time I don't name the videos anymore, and that's why. But today I did name it because I know a lot of people either have not gone to work yet, or you work third shift, so you've just gotten off work, or you work second shift, so you haven't went to work yet. And I wanted some football fans to jump on here and talk some AP poll. In India, I think it's your first time here on the channel, and if it is, whatever made you stop by today, I really appreciate it. And if it is your first time here, please give the video a like and a thumbs up and subscribe. And Cool Cat, my opinion on the game from last night was, first of all, I hate a tie. I've always hated a tie. Still can't stand one. Hey there, Tony. Glad to have you here. I would rather lose by 100 than tie. And I say that because, you know, we had a church league softball years ago, so I've played, you know, sports to a certain extent, never at the big league level, but even with church league softball, if you gave me the option of losing or tying, I'd rather lose. I can't stand a tie. That's the one thing about the NFL I've never understood. Now, I know in the playoffs, you know, they play till somebody wins, but even in the regular season, somebody should win. But if you're the Cowboys, you probably count that as a win because I don't think the Cowboys are going to be very good this year. But from a Green Bay perspective, it's kind of confusing because the first 2 weeks of the season, I thought Green Bay was the best team in the league. The last 2 weeks, I'm kind of like, I'm not so sure. So the game was great, but at the same time, I hate a tie. So it had its ups and its downs. The up was great game. The down was I hate a tie. And Tony, I'm not sure what you're asking is true, so I don't know if it's true or not because when you question something with is this true, is what true? I don't know what you're asking me. But before we talk about the AP poll, yes, Cool Cat, I do. You look on paper, and Cool Cat, by the way, I think it's your first time being here. If it is, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like and a thumbs up. Tell your friends. Tell your family. If it is your first time being here, for whatever reason made you stop by the channel today, thank you for stopping by. And the Dodgers, on paper, have the best team in baseball, which they pretty much had the best team in baseball on paper since 2017. But so far, they've only won 2 World Series out of it. So, you look at their roster, top to bottom, and yes, they should win the World Series, but they should win it every year, and they don't. But, there's really no dominant team this year in the playoffs. The Phillies have phenomenal hitting, but the Phillies have no pitching. So, the Phillies, if they can score 6 or 7 runs a game, they have the ability to win it. But they're going to have to score 6 or 7 runs a game because they have 0 pitching. And Tony, those are questions I can't ask because I don't follow things like that. I watch sports for the love of the sport and nothing else. All the behind the scenes stuff, politics of it, I'm out. Couldn't care less. So I have no earthly idea if you're being serious or funny. But if you are being funny, okay. If you're being serious, you're asking the wrong guy. I have no earthly idea. I don't follow stuff like that. Hey there, Live Blueberry. Glad to have you here. I want to quickly do a NASCAR rundown from yesterday because, hey there, Jamie. Glad to have you here in Live Blueberry. And Jamie, I think it's y'all's first time here on the channel. So if it is, whatever reason made you stop by the channel today, really appreciate that. And glad you stopped by. If it is your first time being here, feel free to give the video a like and a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. But yesterday we had the Hollywood Casino 400 from Kansas, and Chase Elliott won the race. Hey there, Little Meat. Glad to have you here. Denny Hamlin comes home second, followed by Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, and Darrell Wallace Jr. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski. Hey there, Cedric. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Skiff. Glad to have you here. William Byron and Shane Van Gisbergen rounded out the top 10. Now, this Sunday we have the Bank of America Roval 400, which of course is in Charlotte. The bottom 4 right now is Ross Chastain, Darrell Wallace Jr., Austin Cindric, and Tyler Reddick. And it looks like if one of those guys doesn't win, those 4 guys I just named, Chastain, Wallace, Cindric, and Reddick, will probably be the 4 guys cut after the Bank of America Roval 400 this Sunday. And Skiff, I was talking about Denny Hamlin with a buddy of mine that I go to church with yesterday because him and I both totally despise Denny Hamlin. I've never liked Denny Hamlin. But I told him that, Denny will be 45 in November. So he's around about the age that most drivers start slowing down. Most drivers, by the time they get in their mid-40s, they're just not the same anymore for whatever reason. That's happened. So I told him that, Denny is at the age to where he's probably able to retire, especially, being part owner of a team now. But he's only continuing to come back to win a championship. Hey there, Jamie. Glad to have you here. We got Jamie Spivey and Jamie Gayton. Good to have both of you Jamies here. And I despise Denny Hamlin so much that if Denny Hamlin could win a championship and retire, then I say let him win the championship. If that's what it takes to get Denny off my TV screen, let him win it. But on the other hand, now that him and Ty Gibbs are feuding because of last week, I would love to see Denny Hamlin get down to the final race and be one of the final four guys and have a chance to win the championship and be looking like he's got a pretty good shot at winning it. And about halfway through the final race, see Ty Gibbs put him in the wall, because I don't like Ty Gibbs, but I also don't like Denny Hamlin, and I know that Denny would love to win a championship, and I know that Joe Gibbs would love to see Denny win a championship. But I also know that if Denny doesn't win it because of Ty Gibbs, Joe's not going to say nothing to Ty Gibbs. Then Joe has an issue with, trying to stop it, but your grandson's in it. Even though he might say it's business as usual, it's not. That's his grandson. Hey there, Matthew. Glad to have you here. And then Sam Pittman was fired yesterday. I think that's to the surprise of nobody. He's one of the guys that, was on the hot seat going into last year. And then Arkansas wasn't any good last year, but I guess they were better than expected, even though they were terrible. So they decided to bring him back this year. And, their quarterback is really good. I am fantastic, Matthew. Thank you for asking. Hope you are as well. Hope your Monday's off to an amazing start. They've looked awful. And, Taylor Green is a good quarterback. But they're so bad, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But he's actually a good quarterback. And I saw this morning a list of the names of the guys that might replace him, and it was only 3 or 4 names. One of them was Ryan Silverfield, which I get. Hey there, Seacole. Glad to have you here. I get the Ryan Silverfield thing because Memphis is good every year. Plus, it's not a very far drive from Memphis to Arkansas, so depending on where Ryan lives, he might could stay in his house and drive back and forth. Plus, he's still young, and Memphis is good every year. I understand that. But one of the names on the list was Deion Sanders. I don't understand that. There's still no proof at all that Deion can coach. He's 15-15 at Colorado. Arkansas is not a high-profile program. If Deion Sanders is only good enough to be a 500 coach at Colorado, and Arkansas is not much better, any better than Colorado, why would Arkansas people think he could turn them around and make them anything but a 500 team? Because Sam Pittman's pretty much gone 500. So you're going to fire a 500 coach to bring on board a 500 coach? That makes zero sense. If they hire Deion Sanders and they suck, it's their own fault. Hey there, Kick. Glad to have you here. And Seacole, I do think Bama jumped too much, but you also have to realize it's Alabama. Alabama could be 4-6, and they're still going to be ranked. So anytime they win a game, they're going to jump 8 or 9 spots. Bama could be 4-6 and play Coastal Carolina and win by 30 and jump up 20 spots. So seeing them move up doesn't really surprise me at all. But also, to their defense, this week they did beat Georgia, who people think are going to be a top 10 program. So this week they had a reason to move up, but there are some weeks where, Bama won't even play at all and they'll jump 100 spots. Or they'll play Arkansas and win by 50 and jump up 9 spots. So Bama's going to move up anytime they win, no matter who they play. But they did at least play Georgia this week. Ohio State, still number 1. Oregon jumps to number 2 after that win over Penn State this weekend. Hey there, I'm hoping that's Metanoia. Hey there, Nafe. Glad to have y'all here. Miami now number 3, Ole Miss 4, Oklahoma 5, Texas A&M 6, Penn State 7, Indiana 8, Texas 9, and Alabama 10. outside of the top three, good morning, Sam. Glad to have you here, which, in my opinion, the best three teams in America right now are Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami. So I have no issues with that. But, outside of those three, I think every other team has issues. Now, we could sit here all day long and break down the issues of every team, but the video would be 10 hours long. But just, a couple of examples of people with issues. Hey there, Marcus. Glad to have you here. And I have not watched it. Sam, I didn't know there was a such thing as a Nintendo Direct, so I can't make any comments on it because, first of all, I didn't know there was a such thing as a Nintendo Direct, but second of all, I have not played a video game in 20 years. So if I played one, it would be hard for me to, compare it because when you haven't played one in 20 years, then obviously you play one is going to be the best thing you've played because you haven't played one. But Sam, I'm not even sure what Nintendo Direct even is, but thank you for asking. Anyway, and hey there, David. Glad to have you here. Just a couple of examples. Oklahoma right now is number 5. They looked great until Mateer got hurt. How long is Mateer going to be out? They say it's a minimum of a month. If it is the minimum and he's back in a month, Oklahoma could still have a great season. But if he's out for longer than that, they might be number 5 right now, but they're going to wind up 8-4 because they're not the same team without Mateer. And thank you, Sam, for saying that. Everybody should drop a like for me in the channel. Appreciate that, Sam, and everybody subscribe as well. Thank you for saying that, Sam. I really appreciate it. And Texas A&M, hey there, absolute. Glad to have you here. With Texas A&M, they've got the talent and they haven't been bad. Their defense looks really good, but so far their offense has just been average. And eventually that's going to catch up to you. And no, David, I did not go to Oklahoma State. I have been to Oklahoma because my grandpa's family is from Oklahoma, so I went out there when I was 10 years old. I have not been back since then, but we were closer to Oklahoma City than we were Stillwater, so I've never been to Stillwater, Oklahoma, but I have been to Oklahoma. But thank you for asking. And then, with Penn State has the best 2 running backs in the country, and it's not close. Both of their running backs should be, even though, running backs are not as important as they were back in the day. Penn State's 2 running backs are both good enough to be drafted in the NFL first round draft next year, and probably will be. If they're not, something's wrong. And they should have the best running game in the country, but they can't block. Their offensive line just has been average at best so far this year, and it was so good last year. So what happened? I don't know. Indiana looked great up until Saturday, and then Saturday they had an ugly win. And if they were playing anybody besides Iowa, they lose that game. And then Texas, Texas has a phenomenal defense. Probably still, by the time the season ends, going to be a top 10 defense, if not top 5. But their offense just can't get going. And Arch Manning has he's looked pedestrian at best. So, Texas can't keep winning with 300 yards of offense. Eventually, just like Texas A&M, it's going to catch up to you when you can't score. And then, with Alabama, I still think Alabama is a 9-3 team. I predicted that back in the offseason. I still feel that way. But Kalen DeBoer is just like Brent Key at Georgia Tech. If you look at Brent Key, his record against ranked teams is phenomenal. But every year since he's been there, Georgia Tech will have that one game that they lose, and you scratch your head wondering, How'd they lose that game? Well, Kalen DeBoer is the same. If you go back to not his group of 5 days, but in his Power 4 conference days, counting Washington and Alabama, I think he's 6-1 against top 10 teams and like 17-2 against just ranked teams. But then when he plays unranked teams, his teams look terrible. Well, David, I'm glad you've been overseas. It's a goal of mine one day to go overseas, but I have not been able to make it yet. Hey there, Jason. Glad to have you here. My thing over David is the older I get, the more impatient I get. I would love to go overseas, but I want to be able to close my eyes in my bed and wake up and be overseas. I don't care to get on no boat for days and days, and I don't want to fly, but I'd love to go overseas just to say I've done it. And then with LSU, you know, LSU last year, Garrett Nussmeier was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And this year, he was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Hey there, Eror Cat. Glad to have you back. But then, since the season started, Garrett Nussmeier just, for whatever reason, I know their offensive line is bad and that has something to do with it, but he's not as accurate. His delivery looks slower, and LSU, since their line is so bad, they can't run the ball. So outside of the top 3 teams, to me, every other team has question marks. I think the longest off season is football, David, but it's not really an off season because even though they're not playing games, they pretty much made it to where, especially at the NFL level, the season ends, now it's mid-February. It used to be January. Now the Super Bowl is, the second Sunday in February. So it might be mid-February depending on, what date that is. And then like the very next week or maybe 2 weeks later, the following season's schedule comes out. And then the week after that, they start talking about the draft. Then you have the draft. And then right after the draft, you have the combine. And then right after the combine, you start showing highlights of all the summer camps and summer workouts. So even though there's no games, they've pretty much made it, a year-round sport. But I wish that they would have football in the spring. I've always said that because the weather is better in the spring, and most baseball stadiums are now indoors. So if it snows in October at a baseball stadium, not a big deal. They've got a roof. Whereas if it snows at a football game, yeah, they're still going to play, but it's going to totally change the way the game is played. It's not going to change baseball at all because they're indoors. So I wish they would play football in the spring and move baseball to the winter, but I've thought that for years now, but unfortunately, my opinion doesn't matter. And thank you, David. I appreciate that. Hey there, I'm cool. Glad to have you here, and I'm cool. I think it's your first time being here. If it is, whatever made you stop by on this Monday, thank you for being here, and please feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed because it is your first time here, please do that as well, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. But we have Texas Tech number 11, Georgia 12, LSU 13, Iowa State 14, and Tennessee 15. And real quick before we do the rest of the top 25, another good example of teams having issues is Georgia. Hey there, Stepper. Glad to have you here. Georgia in years past has been dominant on the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. But Alabama has not been able to run the ball all year long, but they ran all over Georgia Saturday. And Georgia's secondary looks extremely suspect, and Georgia's offensive line looks extremely suspect. So Georgia made a living for years dominating people on the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And this year, it's just not there. So if your lines of scrimmage aren't what they usually are, and your secondary is also suspect, then that means unless your linebackers play out of their minds every play, every game, then you're not going to be what you have been in the past. Yeah, I'm aware of that, David. But, you know, I don't, I have talked soccer on here, and I will again in the future, but I don't talk a lot of soccer because I meet people, and of course, you know, you have people you talk to on here, but I'm talking about people that I meet, you know, face to face and speak to them either personally in public or talk to them off of here on Facebook. And I don't really get a lot of people that talk soccer or want me to talk soccer. So I think getting on here and spending 20 minutes talking soccer when pretty much nobody cares is just not a good idea. But if the channel ever gets big, where I hope it will one day, and I have a bunch of people on here that want to talk soccer, I'll talk soccer. Hey there, Danny. Glad to have you here, man. I really, really appreciate you stopping by. I think it's the first time I've seen your name in the comment section. If it is your first time being here, for whatever reason made you stop by the channel here on this Monday, thank you for doing so. If it is your first time here, please feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed, please do so, and share the video on all social media platforms, and tell your friends, tell your family, Danny, about the channel. Then 16 through 25, we have Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Missouri, and Michigan. And Danny, just like I just was mentioning to David about soccer, you know, I've talked golf before, and I will again in the future, but I don't just do random long videos about golf. You know, it'll be a video about football, and I'll comment about golf, because so far the people that I've met, either in person or on Facebook, that message me on Facebook, because I'm the same guy on Facebook I am on here. I don't have no YouTube persona. What you see on here is me. This is me day and night, night and day. If you ever see me in public, this is me. You talk to me on Facebook, this is me. So I'm not one of those YouTubers that has a Facebook page, but then if you message me privately, I'm going to ignore you. I don't. I'll respond. But, you know, I have talked golf before, but I just don't have a lot of people that want to talk golf, so I don't. But, yeah, the way the fans acted was embarrassing. And, you know, it's just golf fans and not the whole country as a whole. But it makes your country look bad when you sit back and that kind of thing happens. It makes you kind of ashamed. And you're right, Danny. It was embarrassing. And that's putting it lightly. No player from any sport's wife should ever have any drink poured on them because of a game. You know, if you put that much stock into a game, you need to stop watching. And I've said it numerous times, you know, here on the channel. In all my Holborn days, I have never watched any sport and watched my team get beat and poured a drink on somebody or cussed at somebody or threatened somebody. Man, if I didn't do it when I was 10 years old, I'm not going to do it as a grown adult. So if people put that much stock into a game of anything or sport of anything, just quit watching it, because you make yourself look like a buffoon and you shouldn't do it. We have Notre Dame 21, Illinois 22, BYU 23, Virginia 24, and then rounding out the top 25 is Arizona State. Now, a lot of people thought they were going to take a big step backwards this year because of losing Cam Scatterbo, or as some say, Scatterboo, and they started out sluggish, you know, lost that game to Mississippi State, but as the year has gone on, they have gotten better and better and better. But any thoughts on anything we've talked about today, feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Today's my last day at the evaporated milk factory. I got canned. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. And yes, Sangeeth, it is. Till next time, bye.